Hello, party people,
Yo, yo, yo.
and welcome to the Way of the Bear, baby.
Yeah, what's up, baby?
Just the two of us today.
Yep, just two. But you know what? It's Chris. He's been a busy boy. So we cherish the moments that we get Chris on here.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been crazy, but I'm happy-ish.
That's good. Happy-ish. Making that money, but like at the same time, you're
It's
like,
like
that's so much work.
I'm gonna take a picture like this, like I'm happy, but I'm not complete. Make some kind
Oh,
of
you're
random shit cool.
you're chopping up. What did you say? Oh no, we just started and you're chopping up already.
Oh, shit.
What's wrong? Hello? You hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were chopping up there in the last part.
Oh, okay. I said I'll make like a quote that says like I'm happy but not complete, or some shit. Start making poetry to deal with my demons. No, I mean it's been good. I mean it's definitely different, working Monday through Saturday or even like Monday through Sunday and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I mean it's like like I say sometimes, working is not shouldn't be like you know you shouldn't focus your whole life on working. But at the same time, right now I don't mind it because like I said, I'm slowly starting to get my shit together, which I mean, it's a good thing. So that way, um, hopefully by the end of the year, we start looking at getting our own house and stuff like that instead of just renting and throwing the money away, basically.
Right.
Yeah, investing it in something that is yours. So that's
Sure.
basically my goal for for the end of the year. So that's why like I said, I don't really mind it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like I prefer doing it right now and get my shit together now than being 35, 40 years old and still having to bust my ass the same way that I'm doing right now.
Right.
So that I mean hopefully like I mean that's my game plan. If I can get my shit together in this 10 years for example,
Mm-hmm.
then that way I won't have to push myself so hard the next 10 years.
Right.
But you never fucking know, so we'll just see where you go.
Really. The state of like the way things are nowadays, you never know. You're never guaranteed anything.
Exactly.
Anything. So it's like, geez, I really got to play by ear.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll get through this shit sooner or later because getting old, getting real old.
it's crazy, man.
But that's okay. We're here to cheer people up and
Yeah.
make people like forget about that kind of shit for a little bit. So yeah, I got any jokes? Okay.
Ah,
We should have a joke. We should have a joke corner. And then
cookies help
people,
with the pain.
that'd be nice. I'd like to have a cookie. I gotta run and make an errand after this. And my lovely daughter, she came over. She said she just started school for like first day today. She had a couple of half days last week, but her first day was a
Yeah.
first full day was today. And I had her this evening for dinner and stuff like that, and she never said anything. And then when just before we were about to start recording, my ex said, "Hey, Madison needs like headphones that have like wired. That's like a wired headphone tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Why am I just not hearing about this?" I'm like, "We could have." I'm like, "Well, there's a Walgreens right down the road from you. They're like literally like 2 minutes away from a Walgreens." Well, I'm in bed already. I'm like, "Well, send your husband."
Like,
And he's in bed already too. I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to start a podcast, in a couple minutes. I don't have time to do it. And then I remembered, I'm like, oh wait, I had like a pair of headphones that I bought like months ago that I was like, they're like world kind of generic, they're kind of cheap headphones, but
mhm.
I heard good things about them, so I'm like, I'll give them a shot. They weren't up to my standards, but they're perfect for like a 12-year-old that's just gonna listen to like somebody talking on a computer. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
I want to drop this off to her. I wish that she'd said something earlier. Then I could have just given them to her then, or we could have gone to the store then. But that's okay. That'll save the day.
So she's doing online classes or she's going to school?
She's going to school, but I think they do some stuff on computer still.
So there's reaching back and forth basically.
No, she's going every day, but like I think
Um.
at school there's some online learning. I
Oh,
don't.
okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's weird. They're not issuing lockers because it's too close. They're keeping everybody really far away. They have to wear masks
Yeah.
all day.
Shit, that's annoying.
She should just be doing online, honestly. At least until like this semester. You know what I mean? Like just
Mhm.
kind of a
Yeah, I
lot of
mean that
schools are doing it.
that's how my brother-in-law is doing it right now. And the thing is that the here in high school they give you an option where they will basically let you borrow a laptop. But
Nice.
the thing is that uh, reading from the waiver, like you were basically responsible for the computer. So even if they gave you a crappy computer and it broke or whatever,
Douche.
you were responsible for the computer.
That's annoying.
So so he was like he was working with us all this time that he was out of school. He would go with us like 3 or 4 days out of the week, and you know he ended up saving money for all those months, and he was like, "Hey, can you help me build a computer?" And I'm like, "For what? Like just a regular computer?" Well, he's like, "Well, I want to build a gaming computer. That way, I can play video games on it, and I can do online classes because he didn't want to go to school for the same reason." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we bought all the parts and shit, and we put it together. And I was helping him the other day, I think yesterday, because like you said, I mean, he had like 3 hour days just to get familiar with all the stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a shit show, dude, because
Mm.
like we got a phone call from Rutherford County saying that out of the 43,000 students enrolled in school in Rutherford County, like over 20,000 were gonna do online classes.
Damn.
So they were definitely not expecting that. So they had to push back the starting date, and they had to update all the websites and the different apps that they were going to use, to send homework and assignments and all that stuff. And the thing
Wow.
is that he was having a hard time signing in because the logins that he got like wouldn't let him sign into the programs to see what they were gonna put on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shit show. So that's why yesterday I was helping him with all that, and then today uh, he started doing some assignments, and I was basically looking around to explain to him, and that way he could familiarize with it. And I thought I was like, it might be a little bit easy, like straightforward, and not so many assignments to do. But dude, some of those classes like already have like 5 or 6 assignments for the day. I was like, holy shit!
Shit.
Like they're going serious on this stuff. And and I mean the good thing from the looks of it is that the way they're doing attendance for online classes is like you don't necessarily have to sign in like for the whole school day. I mean, you can sign in a little bit later, but as soon as you're doing the assignments for the day, and then you're turning them in, like that's your attendance. So
Mm.
I mean, that's a good thing in a way.
Mm.
So I mean, you could wake up at 9 or 10 in the morning and start doing your assignments and then get ahead, and that way you don't have to bust your ass 6 or 7 hours a day
Yeah.
to like if it was a regular school day.
Are they having like a regular lecture too, though? I mean, are they be able to watch a video on how to do shit like with some math or something?
Yeah, they'll give you PowerPoints, or they'll do they'll use Zoom to record like a session, and they'll be like explaining, for example, math problems and how to solve them, give you explanations, and then the teacher will basically be working on them in the screen and
That's
highlighting
cool.
everything. So I
That's
mean
cool.
that's a good thing,
Mm.
but it's it would still be kind of tricky for me in a way because like you would like I wasn't really good at math because I was more a visual learner than reading a book or something like that.
Yeah.
So in a way I would have some difficulty with some of that. But
I
like I
hated
said,
math.
I saw yesterday that in the Zoom sessions, like they would basically pull up a PowerPoint and do the whole lesson there, and then it would just give you a few problems to do. So I'm like, okay, I see that works, so that way everybody has a clue on how to do them, and even
Yeah.
if you're a visual learner, you won't be left behind. So
Sure.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely something new for everybody, but I mean, I'm just glad they have that option. You know.
Yeah, me too. Now was it an option for the parent whether or not they wanted to stay home or not, or is it what was it?
Yeah. So
Did
so
it change by
basically,
school?
so basically, I thought I want to say that it was very similar to for all the schools. So basically, with Laverne High, what was going on is that you had basically three options when you came to it. So one of them was basically traditional school where you go to school, and then there was the distance learning part of it where you would have the same teachers and the same classes and everything like if you were going to school, but it was going to be online. And then they had the online option where you would just be stuck with random teachers from Rutherford County. Like you wouldn't be part of the school that you usually go to.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to be part of distance learning, you would have to you needed to sign basically a little registration form that it was just a one-page form where you would put the name of the student, the grade, and then basically signing it, letting them know that you wanted to do online classes. And then there was another one for the parent. That way, the parent was aware and that uh, they were okay with them doing the distance learning. So that's how they went about that.
Gotcha.
And the thing is that there wasn't any requirements as to like like for example they would only have like let's say 500 students out of 1,000 be eligible for that. Like as long as you submitted it with before the deadline, you were automatically enrolled. So that was pretty
Well,
cool.
yeah. So I don't think they gave that option to Madison's school, or maybe they did a vote and they just decided to go. I don't know.
uh,
It's a big school. I mean, it's in Rockville, Illinois, but it's weird that she's zoned for that when she, I think she lives closer to Blackman, which is where all the other kids went, except the boys. They got transferred from Blackman to go to Rockville, which is like that. Man, that'd be a shock to the system. Unless you had a
yeah,
bunch of friends that were still going in that same direction too. But
right.
what if like you're like now you're having the next year make all brand new friends or something? You're just like, damn, that'd really suck. I'm glad I never had any of that kind of shit to worry about when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
that's
uh, the only thing that sucks is that I've never had 4 month vacation or more like six
oh
month
my
vacation
gosh,
from school.
yeah, it's so long.
Would have
And
been
like,
fun.
yeah, I know. Madison's like, I kind of want to go back to school. She's always liked school, so she's always had a good
But
experience.
she
So
actually missed it. Yeah.
yeah, and she's a smart girl. So I mean, she's shy, but um, she still she puts her best foot forward. And all our teachers are always like, "Oh, she's such a joy to have in class. She's a little quiet, but she
Mhm.
gives a good. She gives good grades. She asks questions if she has any. So that's good. And I was just telling her today, I'm trying to like bestow upon her like life lessons and stuff like that. I'm like, don't like settle for anything. Like I'm just like, if you're not happy with like when you graduate, if you're not happy with like going to the school that you go to or whatever, go to a different school, find a better one. If when you have a job, if you don't like that job, you don't like it, find a better one. Do something different, something that's going to satisfy you. That's gonna like satisfy you in all aspects of life. And like she's to that age where I think it's gonna start seeping in a little bit more, and as she starts getting older and thinking about that.
Mhm.
Oh, I wish I told her to write it down. I had a really good like like I can't remember what the hell I said, but I said it. And I was like, write that down. That was really good. She never did. But I was just like, damn, what was it now? I shocked myself. I was like, whoa. Every once in a while, I have like a little
You got enlightened.
word of encouragement that like makes sense. You're
Mhm.
just like, whoa.
If you ain't first, you're last.
I don't fucking remember now. Oh, that was another funny thing we were talking about. I'm trying to like think. You try to think about when you're a parent. Like, there's so many good movies that you've seen,
Mhm.
but 90% of them are not suitable for kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you're like, okay, when is a fair age to start introducing them to some of them? Obviously, you're gonna keep her away from like The Hangover, like those type of movies, the really super raunchy ones.
Right.
Around when she's like 18 or so, maybe 16. I don't know.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I would say 16 to 17 would be appropriate.
yeah, 'cause, I
For
mean,
those kind of
she can go
movies.
see a rated R movie at 17. So I think if she chose to do it, then she can go. But
Right.
so like she's 12 now, and I was telling her about certain scenes in movies,
Hmm.
like from old school and stuff like that. And so I pulled up a couple of the scenes, and we always joke about that song that "Hello Darkness, my old friend." You know that
Yeah, yeah.
the
The original one.
yeah, the Garfunkel
Yeah,
Simon Garfunkel.
yeah.
Well, and that's been used a lot lately because, like, what's that band, the heavy metal band that covered it? It was,
Disturbed.
yeah, and then that's just been real popular, but it's been used in other like commercials and stuff. That little like clip.
Yeah.
I said the very first one that I know, the first one I did it is a movie called Old School. I pulled up the whole scene when he got shot with the tranquilizer dart, and
Yeah.
his voice started, wait. I like you. You're funny. And then like he falls in the water, and then that's hello darkness, my old friend. I'm watching that with her. We're both laughing our heads off. It was so hilarious. I'm like, man. And there's a couple other scenes that I could show her that were clean enough that like I didn't care if they had swear words. Like we've covered the swear word territory with her. She hears them all. She laughs. She thinks it's funny. She doesn't swear. She doesn't feel the need to. She knows that she doesn't supposed to use them, and so she's fine with that. She just, but when she hears them, if I say something shit or something like that, she starts laughing and giggling, and she just thinks it's hilarious.
Right.
And so yeah, so like if it has a scene with like swear words, I'm not worried about it. If it's something sexual, I move away from it. Or if it's just something like raunchy, it has to like do with like cock and balls or something. I'll go ahead and move away from that too. I'm gonna be a good parent for the most part. But there's certain scenes like you've seen the Wedding Crashers, right?
Yeah.
We were on a little bit of a Will Ferrell rant. So like it was when Owen Wilson goes and sees Will Ferrell at his mom's house, or whatever,
Oh yeah.
and he's talking about like like what's going on with the whole wedding crashing thing. He's just like, hey man, he's like, you hungry? My mom makes some meatloaf. You're like, Mom, make some meatloaf. And then we were just laughing about that. And then he's like, Mom, meatloaf. He's screaming the meatloaf thing, and we're just dying laughing. It was just like, oh my gosh. If I wish we weren't on YouTube sometime, we could play those little clips and
Kind of reminds me of the one that does sketch, and that was like, hey, you need a buddy. You need to be a buddy and get off the shit, okay?
Yes. That was great. I think I showed that to her like right around the time that we played it on the podcast.
Yeah.
She thought that was hilarious. Get off the
Yeah.
shit.
Get off the fucking shit.
Be a buddy, okay? Oh man,
So
that's
crazy.
some fucking funny shit.
I
I'm
think
like,
that would be me as a parent. Like, at first, I'll be like all cool and nice, and then I'm like, "Get the fuck off the shit, you
it's like
motherfucker!"
your neighbors are like, for the
Yeah.
first time meeting you, like, holy shit!
It's like, I'll end your fucking life right now if you don't get out of the shit.
I brought you into this world. I will take you out.
Yeah. Next thing you know, next morning, like I'll have like child services at my door.
I'll mess around with Madison every once in a while, and she'll be like, "Child services." I'm like, no, don't even joke about that shit.
Shit.
She's just fucking around. I know she would never do that because I don't fucking do anything to require her to call him. But it's funny because
Right.
she's like, oh shit, I see. She's giving me some of my own medicine because I'll
Yeah.
fuck around and tease her about shit all the time. It's funny.
You got a little joker there.
Yeah. It's just child services.
So I want to ask you a serious question now that we're talking about parenting.
Okay.
So when do you think it's appropriate to get that shotgun?
Did you see my post the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be soon. I even told her. I said I'm gonna be getting a gun soon.
Because she's basically like about to hit puberty if she didn't do so already.
I think she's pretty damn close,
That's what I'm saying. So like it's I would feel that it's very difficult to have those kind of talks with her about her body changing and about
not gonna do that.
and about mood swings that she might have and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're trying to keep it like like PG, so she doesn't feel like uncomfortable. But then
Right.
at the same time, be as descriptive as you can be, so she can get the point. So it would be a weird spot for me if I was there.
No, let Mara handle that if it's a female,
Yeah, definitely.
because
Plus, I mean, she's a teacher, so she's seen like all the little cartoonish videos that they play to explaining all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
she can handle that.
I would definitely. Yeah, I think Gretchen has had the talk with her. I think,
Hmm.
and because I mean her body is changing and stuff like that, so I think it was a good time for Gretchen to kind of mention some stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know what has been said, but
Plus, I mean, the good thing is that she has an older sister and stuff. So if she doesn't feel too
yeah,
comfortable going to mom, she can go to her
right,
sister.
right,
Right.
and hopefully she would be mature enough. I mean, she's 20 now, so she should be mature enough to try to lead her in the right
Handle
way.
those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be man. I'm kind of glad that I don't have any boys to do that with, because man, when my dad told me the whole birds of the beast thing, it was, you could tell it was really uncomfortable for him. And I
Hmm.
wasn't the first one that he had to do it. I had an older brother, so I'm
Right.
assuming he probably did the same thing. It was weird. Like we went out to a park and like we just kind of were walking around. Then we sat down and started talking. And then I don't remember like exactly, but he started talking about this stuff and it made me super uncomfortable. And I kind of started like crying. And he's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "I don't really know why. It's just making me uncomfortable talking about this stuff." He's like, "Okay, but we still need to talk about it." And he told me some weird story about, I don't know what it was. I think he was just because he's so nervous. He told me about the story at the park that we were at. He had found a turtle. No, he didn't find a turtle. He was playing around like on the playground or something. I think he was around my same age, and these two kids, they came up to me, "Hey, you want to come see a turtle?" So we caught a turtle. Where it's in the bathroom. Come to the bathroom. We'll show you this turtle. And so he's like, "Oh, sure," innocent kid, and just goes up there. And they took him up there and they made him take off all his clothes, and then they stole all of his clothes.
Oh
So he's
shit.
trapped in this bathroom
With
naked.
no clothes. Yeah.
And so, like, I don't really recall what the point that was now. I
Mhm.
wish he was still alive. I would have asked him about it, because when I asked
Hey,
about
but
it,
what's up with that story? Were you just tripping balls, or
yeah,
what was the
I
point?
can't remember what happened. I don't know if he had, how embarrassing would that be to walk home with your dick
All
and balls
naked,
in your hand,
right?
walking like this, ass to the world. Oh man, I can't remember what he did, because this is before cell phone. They couldn't call his dad.
Right.
I don't know if his dad was maybe his dad was around or something. He was like fishing at like there's like a little lake area or whatever, but I don't know. So
Fuck.
I don't know what the whole point of that was,
That's some
but
rough shit,
he
man.
told me that, and then he's telling about how where what the penis and the vagina do, and I'm just like, what the hell, Dad? This is the weirdest conversation in the world.
So it's like, Sean, if they're trying to show you something at the bathroom, what do you do?
Yeah, right.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
See, I
So
never
I don't
had
know.
those conversations with my dad.
Really?
He was never around. He like by the time I hit puberty, I mean, we were here already, like in the U.S. and everything. But since when I was younger, he was never around, so I never had that confidence of me going to him and asking him a serious question like that.
Yeah.
So I just didn't bother him with it, and he didn't bother saying anything either. And the thing is that my mom, she was, well, she still is, like really old school.
Yeah.
So if I would have gone to her like, "Hey mom, what's a vagina and how does it work?" Like she would beat the shit out of me in the spot. Like that would have been the warmest I would have slept in my whole life.
The
So,
worm. I'll sleep home tonight.
so,
Oh shit.
so
That's
like
funny.
I never bothered either because I knew I was gonna get my ass kicked if I asked her. And I'm
That's
like, I
so
don't.
wrong. That's so messed up, because it's
I
like,
know.
I want to know.
It's like you're curious about something, but you're afraid because you're gonna get your ass whooped for
Yeah.
asking. So
You learn a lot from your friends. I had
yeah,
a friend named Joe that he knew a lot about stuff, and he was a single kid, so I think I don't know how he found out so much about it, but he knew a lot about it, and I
His
was
dad had a lot of magazines, I guess.
he was a single kid, so like
Oh,
he didn't know who his dad was. I don't think, or he'd never met his dad. I think,
oh shit.
and so like it was weird. I don't know. I couldn't imagine his mom being. Man, that'd be so weird. Like hearing that from your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I know he dabbled in like porn at a young age and stuff like that. So he maybe learned a lot of like shit that was not entirely accurate from like
Right.
magazines and stuff. Because you
Yeah.
got to remember this is before internet. So like magazines and videos were basically the way to go. Or if you had he had every channel like on cable because
Hmm.
his mom worked like third shift,
Hmm.
so he was always home alone. Except his grandparents lived in the house above them, and they had a fully furnished basement that they lived in. So he had basically his own apartment, like when he was like 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, or whatever.
Right.
And because his mom was never home. If she was home, she was sleeping in the morning,
Hmm.
and he'd be at school. So he rarely saw her, except it was like unless she got off early. Sometimes
Or the weekend or
I
whatever.
think sometimes she what
Or the weekends or whatever.
yeah. I want to say sometimes she worked second shift because I remember seeing like we would like spend a lot of time over at his place, and uh she'd come home late like at like midnight or something. So I think she worked second shift sometimes, but it was crazy because like I mean he had every channel, so we had HBO, Cinemax, all those cable channels back then. When there was only one HBO, one Cinemax,
Right.
they didn't have like 10 different things or everything.
Right.
Um, he was
My
spoiled.
God.
Yeah, he was spoiled as hell with toys. Like he had every toy. If the toy came out new, he wanted it. His mom bought it for him.
Holy shit.
And like she was a struggling parent, but at the same time, they lived in a place that was they got they paid rent, but it was probably nothing because
Yeah,
it's
compared to
just
like
her
an actual
mom's.
apartment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's her mom's basement. And they lived there for a long time, and it was a cool place to go hang out. And like you learn about sex ed sometimes because like we watched dirty movies sometimes. You're like, what is
Yeah.
that? Like when you're when you're just like growing up, you're like, what the hell's going on? But it's funny. There was a time when you could. His place was always cool because you could always go watch our movies when we were like underage.
See, the funny thing is, to me, I honestly can't remember the very first times that I got that curiosity hunch into like watching porn and exploring with your body
Yeah,
and things like that. So, but it's funny as shit because I do what I do remember is that back in the day when we were like 13, 14, 15 years old, we would have sleepovers with my friends because back then, I mean, two of my best friends had older brothers, so they had all kinds of gaming consoles like the Xbox 360, the original Xbox, and a bunch of games. So, and we would have sleepovers and play, day and night.
right.
But it was funny because at the same time, everybody had computers at that time already, right?
Right.
So, like, I remember one day my friend we were at his house and he fell asleep earlier than we did, and then we were like, me and my other buddy, we were like, let's see what this bastard is up to, what he's into in the computer. So he wasn't that tech savvy, and we checked his history, and he had all this kind of like Pokemon porn and Pikachu porn.
What?
I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Dude, like regular men on female, like, what's wrong with you? You're watching all this cartoon shit, and he
That I
had
never understood.
he had
Never
all
understood.
kinds of weird shit on there, and I'm like, I guess I can understand, you trying to fantasize about, a character in a cartoon or a movie or whatever, but Pokemon, like what the
Yeah.
fuck? So we were dying, dude, and like I said, that was like the time where it first started, and the thing is that he told us that he had nude photos of like women wrestlers and stuff like that because he was really into wrestling, into the WWE. So
Yeah.
all the fucking roster of the WWE divas at the time, he looked up, pictures of them modeling or naked or whatever, and he would print them off and put it under his bed. So one day
That's
his
hilarious.
mom was making his bed,
Oh,
and and she picked up the mattress a bit and saw like a stack of paper, and she was like, "What the hell?" So she saw all these
uh,
photos, and he got his ass busted, and
that's hilarious.
like we would die laughing. So it's like I remember the period where it started, but I don't remember like specifically when that happened to me. When I started doing. But it was just funny as hell, man. The thing that I've noticed though is that a lot of people like that started really early, like it kind of like they became kind of addicted to that shit.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad that I didn't got hit as hard with that stuff.
Hmm.
But dude, there was a lot of people that like some of our friends would tell me like, yeah, I mean I do it every 2 or 3 times a day, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like like you got the strength to do all that for a whole
Yeah.
day.
We had a friend. We had a friend. He was overly horned up, and I've told you about him before, but I'm gonna leave his name out of it this time. He said he used to be able. He got to a point where it was 5 times in one day,
Holy shit, dude.
and but he said it hurt so bad by the last couple because it was just like there's no more left to give, but he just beat his rod to death. I've got another friend that, oh my gosh, this is one of the most funny, embarrassing stories in the world. He used to, when he was younger, he used to record like he'd get like I don't know if you ever even experienced this when you were a kid, but you could hook up two VCRs together
Yeah.
or one VCR. That's how you could dub over, exact or just copies of or parts of different movies in onto another VHS.
Right.
And he did that with like his when he went to college and stuff with his buddies with porn and stuff. So he had like a couple different VHS tapes that had porn on it, but then he'd start after a while he'd start recording just like he had like HBO or something, and if a cool movie came out he'd record it, and so he'd record it onto the same VHS tape,
Mm-hmm.
and so he would like have like a those could hold like a decent you could hold a couple movies, 2 or 3 movies on each tape, full length movies. He had a family night of watching some movie that he had recorded on one of those VHS tapes, and I think they were watching. It was like a part one or part two or something. They're gonna watch both or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like so they watched the first one. It went through the credits, and before the second one started, it cut over to porn. Oh, porn! And so they're like, ah. Saw his brothers and his brothers' girlfriends, and like they all saw porn for like a couple minutes before it went to the next movie. Oh my god! He's just like, look at his brother. His brother's just like shaking his head, like, you pervert. Oh my god, that is like one of the best stories ever. Made me laugh so hard just now. Look at his parents. His parents were like super holy roller Christian, like
Hmm.
going to front pew every Sunday, and all that shit. Ah! He said it sucked so bad. It was so embarrassing.
So something similar happened to me, but it was funny because I would I would use a program called uTorrent to download movies and shit,
Yeah.
and and a friend would always ask me like, "Hey, can you download a movie for me?" and stuff like that. And I was like, "Sure." So he would bring me a USB, and I would copy it and paste it on there. That way he could take it home and watch it.
Yeah.
And and one day he told me he wanted to watch what uh a movie about a dog. It said a dog's life, a dog's
A
purpose. I
dog.
think it is.
Okay.
And I was like,
That's a recent movie.
I was like, sure. So I downloaded that movie, but the thing that I didn't notice is that it had a knot on. And I don't know if you remember that a couple of years ago, they hacked into the iCloud accounts of different famous people, and they got nudes and everything, and
Yeah.
they basically called it the fappening, right?
Right.
So it turns out that the add-on was all the files of the happening.
Oh, nice.
and I didn't pay attention to it. I just downloaded it, and when it downloaded, I just copied it and pasted it straight from the torrent. I didn't even open the file, so I didn't know. And I'm like, here you go, man. And then, like 2 hours later, he was like, "You motherfucker," and I'm like, "What?" And he said that they had a projector at home too, so he hooked it up to the computer, and he was like,
God.
and when he was opening the folders to go to the movie, as he said there was like 3 different folders, and he thought it was weird because usually when you go to the USB, all you see is just the movie there, right?
No.
There's no folders or anything. So clicked on it, and then it said it had a folder saying, a dog's purpose. And he clicked on it, and it said surprise.
Oh my gosh.
And it showed you the happening. So it gave you like a preview. It gave you a preview like the hottest celebrities or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And we're like all it's like all here for you to enjoy. And like
That's
it would
hilarious.
show like a slideshow of
Sure.
the photos that were there. And all his family was there, eating popcorn already, getting ready for the movie. And all they're watching is naked celebrity.
Oh,
So,
man, that's hilarious.
so I'm like, I had no idea, man. So he was live. He was like, I was so fucking embarrassed. I'm like, make sure you give me a copy of that.
See, go ahead.
Because I would download it, but then I would delete it because I wouldn't watch those movies, and I wasn't really into them, so I knew I wasn't gonna watch them.
Right.
And I would free up the space. So I was like, give me a copy of that shit before you delete it.
See, before the uTorrent thing, it was that LimeWire, and we used to get a bunch of shit off of that.
Yeah.
And like my friend, he was like the one he was in college, so he had like the T1 connection, so he would download shit all the time. Not just the movies, but like music too. We download so much free like illegal streaming music, not streaming, but music like crazy. They're mostly like they weren't like albums of bands. It was like their B-sides. So like they're harder to find songs of theirs. So it wasn't necessarily like we're committing that much of it. Like you couldn't find them anywhere else,
Right.
So you can find them on that LimeWire. But he used to. We hated the band Rush, and I like the band now. But it's kind of funny. But what he would do, he'd like. This was back in the day when you make VCDs off of on a regular CD player. And so he'd make these VCDs of all these little clips and stuff, and then he just put like Rush and then like the title of whatever that album, whatever an album was. So it'd be like Rush Chronicles, and so you knew that was it was perfectly disguised because most people didn't care to listen to Rush. But like if they put it in a regular CD player, you wouldn't hear anything, you wouldn't do anything. If you put it in a DVD player, and you're gonna have a rude awakening.
Different thing. Yeah.
And so it was just perfectly disguised. I mean, I had that this for a long time. I bet I could still find it if I had tried hard enough. I bet it's still floating around my collection of CDs somewhere. And if it ever shows up, I'm gonna pop it out. I'm gonna like laugh. But my dumbass problem was though when we first got our first computer, and like that was like where I was like dabbling, just like looking up pictures. You don't look up like videos. You start off with pictures,
Right.
But we had like the old modem dial-up bullshit. So
Yeah.
like you're like, like you gotta wait for the whole video or the whole picture to download. And my dumbass didn't know anything about history, didn't know anything about cache drive, didn't know anything about that shit at all. And so like one time, there was deep dives into bullshit because you're like this is the World Wide Web of porn basically. Right. My dad, he'd go in it and he knew about the history, and he'd go and delete it just to help, keep the disc clean and stuff like that.
Right.
He started looking and seeing like this XXX stuff, and he's just like, "What the hell?" So he'd click on it, and he'd be like, "Oh, geez," and like so he brought me into like their little office where our computer was, and he sat me down and just like, I found a lot of stuff on the computer that if your mom saw it, it wouldn't be very. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, sorry. I'm like, I didn't know. Just like, he's like, you really shouldn't, because like my parents are both super diehard Christian too, so they're saying masturbation is a sin and everything. So it made me feel guilty and stuff. But so it was just funny. I was just like, oh
you
man,
made me you made me remember something. It was funny because back when we were in middle school, you always had those friends that you could talk about any type of shit and it was
yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was funny because I had a friend that he was fucking crazy, and his parents were Christian as hell too, right? So they had that conversation too because he forgot to not the history, but you know how you would open different tabs,
Yeah.
and he would just close one and thought it's gone, but his dad went into the computer and saw that shit and saw that he was watching porn. He was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, you're not supposed to do this." And his mom walked in and she was tripping balls, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And then she's like, when you masturbate, you're killing babies. And then he's like, "I don't give a shit. It feels good."
Oh my god.
So I'm gonna keep it going. And then they're like, her mom was like, "What you mean you're gonna keep it? You're gonna keep it going, you little fuck?" That's great. I
Oh
was laughing so hard. He's like, "You're killing babies." He's like, "I don't give a shit. I'm gonna keep it going."
well, like, it even got worse when well, I never had like an addiction. Like I gotta look at porn, but
Right.
I'd be over at my I think it was even before. My brother worked at. You remember the old computer store called Computer USA?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It turned to like CompUSA. No, it was called Computer City, and then they got bought out by CompUSA.
Yeah.
Well, he was a manager at that store when they were around, and so he had like a pretty high end for the time, pretty high end computer. So I'd go every once in a while. I'd go over and he'd have the cool games and shit to play, and but it'd be down in his basement, and he'd be upstairs, or sometimes I'd be over there, and he'd be like, "I gotta run errands, whatever." So just be by myself. I never did anything in his house like that was perverted like that, but I would look
Mhm.
up some things,
Right.
and and then I knew how to like delete the history. Well, the thing that I never knew how to delete was in the search bar. It would have your most recent searches if you just started typing like it would
Right.
pop down, and it would just he I think he found out once that like I was looking up some stuff. It was nothing super dirty, but it was just like I don't know, it was like Alicia Silverstone naked or something, just trying to see if I could find something on her. And I can't remember. He never confronted me about it, but he stopped asking me over to hang out and stuff. To like play on the computer. He just stopped talking about it. Like, well, he'd make up like something like his fiance or whatever at the time was like needing to use it or something. I don't remember now exactly what it was, but it was just like he totally figured it out, and like, I could never figure out how to delete that. I still don't know how to delete that to this day. Not that I have to, but
Oh shit.
never have to.
You kind of have. It's like I kind of don't have to anyway. And then I go in there and like horse versus woman, some bestiality type of shit.
No.
Like, damn.
That's bad. You're gonna get us pulled off this website.
Keep this one at the deep archives, the X
Yeah,
Files.
right.
I don't even know how this conversation came to be, but
I'm not sure either. I think we got started talking about sex ed.
have you seen the movie Sex Drive?
Sex drive. No, that Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz.
Mm, no,
No.
I
Oh,
don't think.
that's sex tape.
Yeah.
Sex drive. What's it? Who's in that?
Uh, who's one of the guys that's in there is I can't remember his name, but it's the blonde guy that's on the Dukes of Hazzard with Johnny Knoxville. What's the other guy's name? I can't remember his name, but I think he's in it.
Oh.
And I mean, it's a pretty stupid movie, but it's funny. And going back to the beginning where you said like, what's an appropriate age to start letting your kids watch, those kind of movies. See, the thing is that the way my parents were, like, I knew they were gonna let me watch that kind of shit. So, like I said, when we had sleepovers and shit like that, we would just download them and watch them ourselves.
Right.
So, and that's the thing. Like, what I plan on doing is that, because everybody has done it already at a certain point in their lives, because everybody goes through the same phases. So what I'm planning on doing is letting them know, I know you're gonna do this shit. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know when or where, but but I know you're gonna do it. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to come and ask and stuff. I
Right.
mean, I'm not gonna throw everything at once at them, but I know they're gonna do it, and I know they're gonna try to figure shit on their own.
Right.
So I'm gonna try not to trip too much about it.
You really, I mean, yeah, you just kind of, it's gonna happen, and you just got to try to play it by ear, without having to be, I don't know, it's your little, if you have a little girl, it's like your little precious little darling. You want to keep her
Right. Right.
innocent as possible. And then, like with the boys, it's just like, whatever.
I know.
Like, yeah, go ahead and do it. I don't care. And it would probably be that. Well, that's probably how it'd be with me too. I'd be like, yeah, let's watch Old School. And 12 years, I don't care.
Right.
I should actually ask Nick because he's got a stepkid that's I think like 13 or 14. Like, so we should ask him that question sometime about
Right.
like what
How
if
he went
he
about that.
if he even has, like, I wonder if there has been a conversation about um, watching movies like that or not. I don't know. I know that like my stepkids and stuff. I'm sure they look. I mean, they had friends. I'm sure they watch all that shit. Like all the. I know they were like watching uh, The Hangover like at
Mm-hmm.
14, 15 years old. So um, I don't know. One of I was gonna say this earlier. It was one of the kids. I'm not gonna bust him out, but it was one of the boys back when he was probably about 9 or 10, probably. Gretchen would always want like somebody to rub her feet, because she wanted to relax. If I didn't do it, then she'd pay like one of the kids to do it. Pay them like $1 an hour or something to do it. Like $1 an hour is like a lot for them at that time. And they negotiate sometimes higher price, whatever. But like at the time, like one of the boys, he was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just do it. I'll do it for free, mom, whatever. So he's um I'm sitting on. I'm not near the couch that they're laying. She's laying on a couch, and he's at the end, and has like a foot in his lap, kind of, and he's rubbing her feet. And he starts getting like, she said she would like him doing. He'd take his knuckles and start like digging the bottom of the feet, stuff like that.
Right.
But he started kind of like going a little bit like too aggressive or whatever. But like it was like almost like he was doing this kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it was bouncing on his dick basically, because it was on his lap. And he goes, "Oh my god, my penis is getting stronger."
What the hell?
I look over at Gretchen and I started laughing. I had a book. I had like a hardbound book. And I just stuck my head in there and started laughing so hard. Gretchen's like, I think we should stop foot massages. My penis is getting stronger. Like, oh, is it? That's weird. Okay. And then she's like, are you going to talk to the boys about, I'm like, they have a father that can do that for them. So I'm going to let him handle that shit. I'm like, nope. I'm like, if he's going to be a wuss and not do it, I'll do it. But not my kids. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Oh, man.
So that's a good way to go about it. It's getting stronger.
I mean, it is getting stronger.
Yeah.
It's flexing.
Level unlocked.
Oh my gosh. Oh, man.
I bet you were like, holy shit, I think it's a little bit too early for that.
I was laughing my head off. He might have been a little bit older, but oh man. I was just lucky enough never to walk in on anybody like stroking it.
Mhm.
Like, you know, hey, dinner's ready, and he seemed like, oh, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I would just probably ignore it, just like act like I didn't see anything. But I never once. I think they did in the shower because like they would take some long fucking showers sometimes,
Yeah.
and that sucked. The water bill was always super freaking high, but they take like 30, 40 minute showers. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I like the hot water. It feels good. And
Mhm.
like they'd be like one of them would be he was they're both kind of one was ADHD and he had like an issue where he thought it was fun to fucking use it as like a fucking slip and slide and he'd slide back and forth like he was skating or something on in the tub, but when it was wet he put soap on the bottom. I don't know how he didn't crack his head open and like people have to take his ass to the ER or something. He did some crazy shit and it's just like, dude, how are you not like a quadriplegic or something? He'd go climbing trees and shit and like almost fall and break his neck, but he'd always get down and be safe. And you're like, dang, he's a little monkey, and he's just always active, just always running, nonstop. When we first dated, um, like one of the first big things that we did with the kids, we went to the zoo, and he was like 4, I think. The
Mhm.
oldest son was 4, and she was running late to get me, so she grabbed like a pair of shoes, said just throw these on and we'll just put them on in the car. Turned out they were the freaking younger son's shoes, so the kid didn't have any shoes when we were walking around the freaking zoo. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll just get a like one of those little red wagons you can rent, and we'll just sit in that for the whole time.
Right.
Well, his little ADHD brain didn't want to sit in the wagon the whole time. So like we bought him a new pair of socks that had like tigers on them or something. We made sure they were like thicker than normal because I'm like, this kid's gonna be walking around in bare feet. Hopefully this will last. He jogged the entire day, like he was just like at a like a pace of just jogging because he's
Mhm.
little, so he's keeping up. It was not walking. He hardly ever walked the entire time. He hardly stood still for longer than like 5 seconds because it was a little hyperactive. And he had a little couple blow ups and stuff, but he ran almost the entire day, and we were there out there for like 5-6 hours. It was
Yeah.
crazy. He ended up wearing holes in the heel and in the toe of both socks because of that. I was like, dude, what the hell? That's crazy. I'm like, I don't know where you get all your energy, bro, but man, I'll take some. So, and then she's like,
I'll take some to go.
she was so embarrassed because it was like the first time that we actually did something as like a group like that.
Mhm.
And then she's like, "You just want to leave me? I'm sure this is just so crazy." Hindsight's a bitch. If I could have seen the future, 13 years, that would like peace. And then
Yeah, this is
Madison would have been born though, so that would have sucked.
right.
At least after Madison was born, then say peace.
So, yeah, this ain't working out no more.
No mo. So yeah, that's my stories. I
Great, great.
There's a show you should watch. It's on Netflix. It's called Married at First Sight. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've seen it. Like I've seen it that it came out, but I haven't watched it.
It's good. It's good. It makes you really wonder if you could do it because I mean, you basically I don't know if you know the gist of it is, but they sign up for this dating or not say anything, but they're basically signing up to get married to a complete stranger day one.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so they have to go through all these different surveys and questionnaires and interviews and stuff, and then these professionals are like one of them's like a marriage counselor, he's a pastor and a marriage counselor. Another one's like a sex therapist, like counselor.
Do they
Another
match
one,
you up randomly?
what?
Did they just match you up randomly with another guy?
Not randomly. They go through everybody's like surveys and they match you up to as best as possible. As like, you're like, I think
Hmm.
that these people are compatible. I think they'd be good together. Blah blah blah. They both complement each other. Here's like complementary parts. Here's where they might challenge each other. And they pick 4 couples, and they they go like the four guys and the four girls. They have like a bachelor party and a bachelorette party together. They meet each other for the first time, as like their last night on Earth as not married,
Mhm.
and then you've never seen your wife or husband. You get ready for the day. You're sitting up there with your best man or whatever. She comes around the corner when they start the bridal march. First time you see your bride, that's going to be your bride for until you want a divorce, is coming around a corner, and then that's the first time you're just like, oh my gosh! And so it'd be such a weird experience to
Yeah.
like say, what am I doing? And
Mhm.
so then what they do is they have the ceremony, they have the reception, but your family is there, and so like some people are just like, that's kind of weird that they're doing that. And other people are like, it's modern day, society. Maybe there might be something to it, blah blah. Some are okay with it. Some are just like, no, this is weird.
Would you be okay with it?
I don't know, man. Now that I have gone through marriage
Mhm.
and I thought I knew what I wanted and everything, maybe I might want to leave it up to a professional, like to set me up with somebody. I don't know.
Right.
Because I mean, I guess they've done this for 9 seasons, but this is the first time they've put on Netflix. So I hope they add the other 9 seasons on there because they only have this one episode on there or one. It's like I'm still watching it. Um, this one season is only on Netflix right now, so I hope they add the other ones. They said
Right.
like the last couple of seasons, they've been like pretty good. Like the people are still together even after a couple of years.
Oh shit.
So it's interesting because what happens then you go on your honeymoon. You have a 2-week long honeymoon.
Hmm.
They pick out they went to Antigua or whatever, and so like all of the couples went to Antigua, but you spend your own time. And then there's sometimes when like all the couples will get together because you basically all get married on the same day, but you're not like at each other's weddings. They're all
Right.
staggered differently, So it's individual weddings.
Yeah.
Same freaking place, though. And I don't know if it's taking up place over 2 days or what, but and then when you go to your honeymoon, you meet up. Sometimes just the women will go on like a little like lunch date, and the guys will go on a lunch date. And then sometimes the couples they'll come. I don't know, they played volleyball for an afternoon or whatever, and you just kind of see how they're just learning each other who they are, for the
Right.
first time. At the same time, it's your honeymoon, and you're in this like exotic place, so you never know, what could happen, sexually. You don't know who that person is, like what their background is and stuff like that. So
Right.
that's interesting to watch. And then after the 2 weeks is over, then it's an 8 week, no, it's an 8 month. Wait, shit. I think it's an 8 month process. And so after the 2 weeks of your wedding, then you come or your honeymoon, then you come back to your everyday life. But say like you had a place, she had a place, you don't live at one of the other places. This is the first season, I guess, that they actually had an apartment. It's the same apartment complex, but all four of them are in this apartment complex in their own apartment, and it's the first time that it's their apartment that's like a neutral ground. So like one can't be like, oh well, you're gonna screw up my space because this is my house, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they try to keep it neutral. And man, you start seeing like the true colors come out on people, and after a while, you're like, oh shit, you can tell these people, they didn't, they want their space. They're not used to doing this.
Yeah.
One girl, she was an actual virgin. She was 27 years old. She's a virgin. Her husband, not one. And like according to some of her buddies, were like, uh, he's not gonna know how to handle this because this is not normal for him to like ever have. And I'm like thinking about it, like, so many guys are like, I think some guys would like that in a sense because like you're the only dude there. You're the only dude that's ever been. If you ever actually, whenever they do, as far as I know, well, where I am in the show, I think they're about halfway through the time,
Mhm.
and they still haven't consummated their marriage yet.
Hmm.
So like he's like, I'm just trying to be patient, and blah blah, blah. And like they'll do like little side interviews and stuff with the professionals, and they're like, well, how do you feel about this? Are you bothered by it? He's like, a little bit, he's like he's wanting, she's pretty hot, and she's just wanted to save herself for marriage, but at the same time, she wasn't just gonna let it go the first night she got married.
Right.
She's like she's saying how she could see herself, like actually losing it to him, blah blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another girl. She hadn't been in a relationship for 10 years.
Holy shit!
And so
Is that the teacher?
nope, she. I don't know what she does. I can't remember what she does.
Because I know one of them is. I think she's a teacher and she's never had like anything going on for her. She wears glasses, black hair. I saw it on the preview. Like I said, I haven't watched it, but I saw the little preview. When you're skimming through the shows.
Glasses.
But I don't know.
She white or black?
White.
Because the teachers, there's one teacher who's white. She's with like this basketball player, but he only played in Europe, and he's looking to she's kind of looking to go with the game and find something more solid at home, like in the States. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, so it's not too far from here. And but it's kind of interesting. So they only chose people that lived in that area,
Right.
And so he's looking to. She's a teacher, and she's also big time into fitness. And she was like smitten with him from the beginning because I mean he's a tall, handsome guy, And she's just like, holy cow, I got a hot husband. During the whole like reception, she's like, "Can we make out yet? Can we kiss yet?" So it's kind of funny, and they've been having a pretty rocky road too. He's been wanting to like have his freedom with like his buddies and stuff like that, and like so he'll go out and he won't even call her. Like he wouldn't even call her, and he'll be out all night. He wouldn't even come home. It'd be like he'll come home the next day, and she's freaking out because she can't get a hold of him. She's like, I just think you didn't want. She has abandonment issues already too, so she's freaking out. Like the videos just show her just freaking out completely. Then there's another dude that the other couple was it? The one that's 10 years old, like she hasn't had a relationship 10 years. They just recently. I mean, I know you're gonna watch this, but you'll probably forget all the shit when you watch it. They just recently consummated their marriage, and it took a while for them too, just because she's like, I haven't done anything in 10 years. I'm not just gonna jump right back into it because I don't feel comfortable. And at the same time, he was kind of like, he's like, so when can we, he's like trying to instigate everything, and she's just like, just give me some time. Blah, blah, blah. I think on his birthday, he finally got some nookie on his birthday. And then, like, they were talking about afterwards, he's like, well, look, so what made you, like, do it? Want to do it? And she's like, well, it was just, I saw you, like, interacting with my friends and your friends, and it was, like, really kind of, like, attractive to me, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, so, like, we're just gonna, when's the next time gonna probably be, And she's like, I don't know. He's like, are we looking at like once a month type thing? And she's like, well, what if we did it just like once a month? And that was just like mind blowing. He's like, once a month. I'm like, dude, when you're in a relationship, you're like rabbits,
Yeah.
And
living in the fucking kitchen.
Right. It doesn't matter. Like you just, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, you got to think about they don't even know each other, so it's like you're not just gonna I don't know. Maybe it'd be easier for guys than girls, but I don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
It sounds very familiar to the Love Is Blind. That's a show that's very similar, but the difference though is that they don't get married right away. So basically, they interact for like a week in this capsule, so they can't see each other. They just talk to each other.
Really?
Yeah, and then what happens is after that week, they have to choose who they interacted better with and stuff like that, and who they visualize them marrying through like the experiences that they've had in the capsules.
Mm-hmm.
So then they have to propose, and of course the girl has to say yes, right? So if she does say yes, then they move on, and they have the reception and the wedding and all that kind of good stuff. And then that's when they get to say either yes, they want to get married, or no, they don't want to go with it. But before that happens, though, they go on this like honeymoon. So they do the honeymoon before the marriage, and they go to Cancun. And like you said, they have some alone time, but then the couples come together, and they're hanging out all together, and they get to meet each other and stuff, and you get to see what works out and what doesn't, and who ends up with who, and like you said, after the time in Cancun, they have to go to back to where they live and live their normal lives, but then they have to live together and work shit out and stuff like that. So it's pretty similar. It's just that they don't get married right
Right.
out of the bat.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see how this is going to turn out, because after the 8 week or 8 months, or whatever, then they choose like whether they want to be together or not. And then that's like when the final decision is where
Right.
get out now. Man, when I say 8 months, it seems like that seems like such a long time, but 8 weeks doesn't seem like enough time.
Yeah.
So I know there's an 8 in there, so I think it's 8 months. Which
what 80 months?
No, it's that would be way too long. I'm pretty sure it's 8 months, but so we'll see how it turns out.
Someone would I just send me to jail? Fuck it.
Yeah, that's funny. It's just
that's
I hope
weird.
they put more episodes on there. There's another one called Indian Matchmaker on there. I couldn't get into it. It's essentially the same thing, except they pay this like Indian families pay this lady to go around and find the right woman for their son, or vice versa.
Oh shit.
Like, it doesn't seem something I care. I watched like half of the episode. I was like, this is kind of boring.
That seems more medieval.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely more of along the lines of the traditional arranged marriage.
Right.
The one girl that's on this married one, her dad is fucking creepy as hell. Like you can tell, like okay, Madison's the apple of my eye. She'll always be better than everybody else in the world, but this dude almost takes it to another level. Like he busted her ass out like during like a toast and saying he's like, I was walking by her car and I noticed, and she came up to me and said, hey dad, my tags on my license plate are expired. Is there a way you could help me out with that? And he's like, being the loving dad that I am, of course I'm gonna help her. So he's like, in this envelope is a prepaid Visa card to pay for the tags and any late fees are on there, so I'm gonna hand this to you, Jamie, which is her new husband. So he's like, I'm gonna give it to you to figure out and take care of this instead of me. And then like he's got a job he owns his own company, and so she's got this job that pays, I think, fairly well. That she's going to be starting soon during the process of the show. And so her husband calls her ass out on nepotism and shit like that. And he turns into like a real dick at some points. I think he's got a little fucking bipolar issue going on, because man, if he's one of the type of people that if you fuck with him, he will tear you down to your core. Like if you insult him or you upset him somehow, he's coming at you like 10 times worse. And he does that with her. And she asked him about his parents were divorced or whatever, and she's like, so why did they get divorced? And like he made it seem in like a side interview that like we had already talked about this or something. So she's like, I don't know why she's bringing this up again, but she knows that it's a soft spot with me. And then she starts going into, then he starts going into like, he's like, well, you're not qualified for the job. You got nepotism into that job. She's like, fuck you, man. She's like, I can do this job just as. She's like, I'll prove you wrong. He's like, I hope you do. And then she's like, I'll have you know that every interview that I've gone into, I've walked out with a job. He's like, yeah, but was that your dad that was interviewing you, or was it some other? Oh, I'm just like, motherfucker, I would have punched the dude. He just not letting go and making her feel like shit, man. And I was just like, what a dick. And she's just like, I'm out of here. Fuck this. And those people, like, man, they've been in so many fights. Every fight is like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm moving back to my place. And like one of the counselors, she's like, that's not an option. You guys have to work it out, because there's not always going to be another place in real life, to go. So
to go to. Yeah.
There's an extra bedroom. There's a couch. Somebody sleeps on the couch, and that's it. If you leave, you come back. You know. And somebody's like, "Nope, I'm done. I want a divorce." Blah blah. blah. And so all the doctors get all pissed off about that. They're like, "No, in a relationship, you never mention divorce. It's always the very last thing. You're in it to try to figure things out, even in the
Mhm.
hard times." And they just don't get that because they're just new to the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
not
mean, yeah,
you don't start
that's
talking about
pretty.
divorce until you find the whore cheating on you with some fucking schmuck.
Yeah. See, the only time Mara and I have talked about divorce was she ate my gummy bears. So like, I'll share anything. I'll share anything with you, but when you touch my gummy bears without asking,
Fuck you. That's grounds for dismissal.
there you go.
Joey doesn't share food.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean that's the bad thing about this time and this time period, you know, like and that's what they say. Like, you know, when you're dating someone, when you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, you know, everything's beautiful and everything works out perfectly because at the end of the day, you know, you go back to your house, she's at her house. So
Yeah.
if you have an argument, you know, you don't have to deal with it for the whole day or the next day.
Yeah, you can
You
ignore them
just
for a couple of days if you wanted to.
exactly. You just stay home.
It pisses them off, but
Yeah,
what
I
can
mean,
you
you just stay home, cool off, and then try to work it out then. And if it doesn't work, hell, you wait another week or 2 weeks and don't fuck around with them. But then when you're married, I mean, like the therapist say, I mean, that's not how it works anymore. You know, you have to be in the same house. You have to work it out. You have to try to find, you know, the middle point where you know you can meet and work things out. But I don't know. A lot of people, I guess, they're not used to that type of shit. So they just want to run away from the problems like at
Yeah,
the very first chance they get.
exactly. That's the problem a lot of people have, and I think that's why there's such a high divorce rate in the first place. But
Yeah.
um, like I'm almost wondering if like this would help lower. I mean, like I said, at the same time, these people that on the show, they're running through the same things. They're having these arguments and want to run away. But then there's the other ones. It's almost weird. Like the two that waited to have, the two couples that waited to have sex, or the other ones that didn't even have sex yet.
Mm-hmm.
Their relationships are almost stronger than the ones that they had sex early.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I wonder if that plays any kind of factor into it. Because the one dude that I told you was a real dick about shit whenever he gets butthurt is he was saying how and from I mean what sucks is when they went on their honeymoon she started her period, so they were talking
Mm-hmm.
about maybe consummating around the honeymoon, but then she got hit with Mother Nature, and then from what I understand though later, because they were there for 2 weeks, so it was later in the trip that they did finally,
You got it on.
and he said something about like you're like not intimate enough with me and stuff like that, and she's like, "What are you talking about? Like we have sex like a decent amount of time." And he's like, "Well, I don't. It's just not enough for me." And he's like, What are you looking forward to? Like, what are you wanting? How much do you want?" He's like 5 or 6 times a week, and she's like, "Okay, we're still learning each other. We're not fully in love with each other yet. This is," and she's like, "We do it like 3 or 4 times a week. So it's like." You're at least it's not bad. It's not like it's like once or
Right.
twice a month or a couple weeks so it's like 3 or 4 times a week isn't that bad. When
Yeah.
you're
I
first
mean,
dating, it's like every
it's pretty
day.
healthy, right?
Right. For the situation that they're in, sure.
Yeah.
But like I mean when you're first starting, that's like almost every single day sometimes when you see them. But at the
Oh,
same
don't even
time,
remind me.
I had a friend though back when we were in high school. We had like a youth group, and he was kind of like he was the leader, but he'd be like nonchalant. He was real like down to earth with us because we were like seniors or whatever. He's like, "Guys, when you get married, I challenge you to do this. Every day or every time you have sex, put a jelly bean in a jar for a year." He said, then the next year, every time you have sex, take a jelly bean out. He's like, there's gonna be a lot of jelly beans left. He's like, the first year you have a lot of sex. Second year,
Yeah.
not so much. So it's like it's gonna die out eventually. But I mean, some
Yeah.
women are just so over the board that like they just need it all the time, and they don't even care. Like they just, and it's just like, dude, I'm not a fucking machine. Give me a
They
fucking
just
break.
exploit you. I feel raped.
Yeah,
It was nice for the first 2 months, but now I
you're
just
right.
feel raped.
It's like sitting in
She doesn't
a
care.
cold shower, like clutched like in the
I
fetal
feel so
position.
dirty.
Einhorn's a man.
She doesn't listen whether I consent or not.
Consension goes both ways.
I don't I don't feel comfortable anymore. I don't even know who I am.
He's a monster. Oh man, I highly recommend watching it. It's definitely worth it.
I'm gonna give it a shot tomorrow.
You will watch it tonight. You are binge watch it until you have to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're just up the whole time. You're like just drinking coffee the whole night. I'm so fucking tired, but I watch every episode.
You clearly haven't seen me the past couple of days. Like I watched this show on Netflix that looked pretty interesting. It's called the world's toughest prisons.
Oh wow.
And I started watching it yesterday, right? So I'm like, this one looks pretty cool. And like we watch a movie almost every day, like from like 7 to like 9 or whatever, like when we get off work.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't want to watch any more movies. I'm gonna look for a show. And I saw that one. I was like, okay, pretty cool. So no, it was actually 2 days ago, and I put it on, and I'm like, no kidding. I only watched the first 10 minutes, and I'm knocked out cold. And then and then yesterday, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that show because I don't even know where I left off.
Yeah.
And then I go to look for it, and it says play season 1, episode 10, and I'm like, holy shit!
Wow, that's weird. Yours doesn't shut off after 3 episodes.
No,
Mine will ask after 3 episodes if you're still watching,
I don't even
and
know
then if you don't save it, it just shuts
it turns off. Yeah.
That's funny.
It
10 episodes.
It said like season 1, episode 10, and I was like, holy shit! I know for sure I didn't watch 10 episodes.
That's funny. I'll do that sometimes with shows too, but like I'll fall asleep, and then if I wake up, I'll be like, if it's still on, like that same episode, or I don't even know what episode it is. I'm just like,
right.
Like, dude, what did I miss? I'll do that with movies too. So I'll just run it back until I remember seeing like something familiar.
You remember in a specific part.
And then you watch it again, and then like 10 minutes later, you're out again. You're like, damn it, I want to stay up and watch this thing.
Yeah.
I did that with Aquaman a couple times.
It's hard, dude. It's hard.
No. I'm gonna pull down the screen. I haven't. I've never seen. No, I'm not gonna watch that tonight. Shit, what am I gonna watch? When I don't have Madison the next day, like it kind of like frees up my whole night. You know, and I'll stay up a little bit later, even if I get tired. And so, like, I think tonight I'll probably watch something because like I said, I got to drop those headphones off. I might pick up something like a snack or something, and then maybe watch. What was? Have you seen that movie on Netflix? The preview for it with Jamie Foxx. It's called Power. It's called Power something. Something.
Yeah, we watched it yesterday. It's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it where like there's a pill that makes you like invincible or something?
So basically,
for like 5 minutes or whatever.
Basically, from what I saw is that the government was making experiments on people that have potential to have like a superpower, so to say.
Okay.
So basically, what they did is they took their DNA to try to come up with a pill that would help basically exploit that power, or make it stronger.
Uh-huh.
So that's what it is. Like when they take that pill, they have like they become like super strong, or they enhance an ability that they already have for an X amount of time. But the thing is that not everybody can handle it. So you can die like on the spot, or have like a really gruesome death, like depending on what kind of ability you have. But I mean, yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie, man. I liked it.
You didn't see the whole thing?
Yeah.
You didn't fall asleep 10 minutes in?
No, because I watched it at 7. I watched it at 7 o'clock, not at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, Netflix is killing it. They had some pretty good shows on there. HBO.
They're making a lot of money right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, HBO has a lot of good shows on too. Just it sucks that there's on the Roku. They don't have HBO Max. They only have HBO. It just says HBO. They had HBO Go and then HBO Now, and you had to choose which one. Because one of them was subscription based, the other one you could do without subscription.
Oh, okay.
I know somebody that gave me his credentials
Mhm.
for HBO Max, and they just happened to work for HBO. What was like HBO Go or whatever the subscription based one was. And so like, but that was all they had. Like Roku hasn't worked out a deal with HBO Max yet.
Mhm.
I guess they're trying to work out something. Who knows? So for now, they just changed. I put it on there, and then just like a couple days later, it switched to just says HBO on there now, but it doesn't have all the same stuff you can find on HBO Max. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So like all the TV shows and stuff like that, it's just a totally different format than like if you go on your phone or like on your iPad or something. It's so like if you stream, that's what sucks for like it's not on Apple TV at all because I need the newest Apple TV. I need to find a good deal on the used version so I can just add it because it's all those. There's a lot of movies on there. I'm like, yeah, it'd be awesome to watch that like on a big screen, big theatrical screen. There's a lot of cool like war movies that are coming out that would be really cool to watch. So they're gonna get their shit together, man. Make us happy. And then they're gonna have that fucking Peacock thing, and we're gonna have to pay for that shit to get NBC content.
Yeah, I downloaded it, but I haven't.
Is it out now?
Yeah, but I haven't messed with it.
Because I haven't seen anything on the Roku. Maybe it just recently came out.
It's free basically, but then if you want to unlock the other channels, then you have to get the subscription, the monthly subscription.
You have to do the subscription, or can you?
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Can you unlock anything if you just have a network provider?
I think so. Yeah. Or you can just go through them if you don't want to bother, and then just get the monthly subscription from them.
But if I have a network provider, then you shouldn't have to pay.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying though. But I think it gives you the option whether you can get the subscription from them if you don't have a network provider, or but they also have free shows on there that you can watch, like free live TV. But of course, I mean you don't have that many channels available, but you got some.
Well, like I hooked up my my internal digital antenna to try to get like the local channels.
Yeah.
NBC is the one fucker that is like that's in like Nashville, and it's like the farthest fucking one away, and it never shows up. Like you have to have an aerial like antenna to get it, or you gotta have one of these super duper crazy powered antennas that like reaches like 300 miles or something. I don't know. Like this thing was supposed to be like 50, 60 miles, and I don't get that. That covers from here to Nashville easy, and then for some reason I don't get. I never get. I never get NBC. I don't know if I get CBS either. I don't get ABC and Fox. I don't know. It's annoying. So I'm just like over it. But at the same time, I'd like to, if they ever start football again or anything, I'd like to, be able to watch football. They'll start football, but whether or not they'll have people.
Yeah.
There, like the baseball. You see the baseball games? Any baseball games where like they have either the cardboard cutouts of people,
yeah,
or nobody in there at all?
And they said they were gonna put the audio of the MLB The Show, the video game, for reactions and shit.
That's hilarious. I wonder if they've really done that.
It's crazy.
It's funny with Wrigley, for the Cubs, they have those buildings that are outside of Wrigley that have stadiums like seating, and so those places are open. And there's like there's like 3 or 4 buildings, and I know that like every once in a while there's an outfielder that he'll launch a ball outside of the stadium up into those things. How far can he fucking throw? You throw it up into one of those people up in that fucking those outside buildings. It's like, damn, got a crazy arm. And then there's another dude that he was playing. Who was it? I don't remember who he was playing for, but they had the cardboard cutouts. And like like in between innings, they're like tossing the ball back and forth, or if it's a foul ball or something, he'll take it and he'll toss it to a cutout, like he's tossing it to a fan. he just goes, hey, you. He just throws it, and it just hit the cardboard cutout and fall into the ground. It's so hilarious. They showed that guy do it. They showed him do it like 3 or 4 times during the game. He threw it like into the stands, like pretty far up to hit a guy. Just a random cardboard cutout. It was hilarious. Like, man, these guys are having fun taking
Yeah. There's other people that they said they were going to use mannequins, and I think there was somewhere, I think in Japan, I don't know where, like they were supposed to get mannequins, but they got inflatable dolls.
I was gonna say they should get the real dolls.
Yeah, and they actually had to apologize and take them off and replace them. I'm like, damn.
Oh, they gotta buy them dinner later.
Yeah. Yeah, man, but it's some crazy times right now.
I know. Basketball, they're doing. What are they doing? They're doing something really weird too. They're not playing like in the main stadiums. They had a really shortened season, and then now they're like going into playoffs, but they only had like 10 games or something stupid, and then but there's only certain teams that were eligible to play. It was weird. I didn't look in. I need to look into it more because I know because the San Francisco Suns or not San Francisco, Phoenix Suns, they went like 8-0, but they didn't get. There's still a way that there was some kind of choosing of who was going to the playoffs or not, and they went 8-0 and they still didn't make the playoffs, which is weird. So I don't know how that works. If you're undefeated and you're still screwed if your season's screwed. So I don't know how the pictures I saw, it looked like they were playing in like almost like college gyms. Like they're playing in like their practice gyms that had like seating, but it was only for like basically bare bones people. It wasn't for fans. It was like family and other coaches and that kind of shit. So there's
hardly you could have someone to cheer you on.
Hardly anybody there. It was just such a weird situation, man. Like hockey's starting. I don't even know what they're doing for that.
It's funny because I saw a meme of the Nashville Predators, and they were like, it was funny because they were like, they're like, thank you so much for the fans that came to support us. And then on the big screen, it said attendance and it said 0. And it's okay. So you're thanking them, but then nobody fucking showed up. So what's the point?
It'd be funny if they did have like a countdown, like guess the attendance, and they're like, top person 5, 5 people.
Do the coaches count and the medical staff?
No, you can't count anybody related to the team.
Shit. If whoever guesses it gets $100. 0.
Ding 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 ding. Oh shit, man! It's getting late. Let's go ahead and call it, man. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you guys want to subscribe, and if you haven't already, then go ahead and do it. If you like what you hear, go ahead and take care of that there, Panty Boy, and like and comment if you like. It helps us out. I'd like to try to. I've got a number in my head, but I'm not going to say it. But I'd like to try to get to a decent number by the end of the year of subscriptions. And if we can reach that, if we get close, if we're starting to get close to that number, I'm going to announce that number. And then if like the person that's like that number I'm thinking of, then they'll win something. I don't know yet what, but they'll win something.
An inflatable toy.
Inflatable dolls all around.
Put a comment and then you'll be entered into a raffle.
So I'm hoping that we can get some people. Like we need to start looking into advertising more, I think, and that's something we can talk about as a group, and we'll handle that shit on our
as a franchise,
as a
corporation,
an LLC. No.
There you go.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching. So go ahead and have a good time. We'll be around.
Catch you guys later.
Adios, people.
Hasta luego.